Okay, well, that sucked. That absolutely was gut-wrenching to watch. The Mets fall short of a comeback in a game where they were trailing 5-0. They tie it 5-5 in the later innings of this game and still come up just short despite multiple opportunities to go ahead, take the lead in this game, walk this game off, and then you go to extra innings and you have a throwing error from Brett Baty to open the door and gift the Guardians, Cleveland 2 runs without even getting a hit in the inning as the Mets fall 7-6 in the opening game of this series. Guys, I mean, this is like it might be a little bit of recency bias, but this is one of the worst losses of the season for me. This is easily one of the worst losses of the season for me, given all of the circumstances, given the fact that it looked like this was going to be another ho-hum. They get blown out 5-0 game where the offense does absolutely nothing. The one bad inning bites the pitcher in the ass. In the case of tonight, it being Sean Manaea there in the 6th. And yet the Mets find a way to claw themselves back into this game. You get the 3-run homer from Pete Alonso the very next half inning. Then 2 innings later, it's 4 consecutive hits for most of the top of the order. RBI hit for Pete Alonso, and the Mets get the sac fly from Mark Vientos. But even there, in that 8th inning, after tying the game at 5 apiece, an opportunity for Cedric Mullins, who rips the ball. And Rocchio makes a ridiculous diving play on to rob him of what would have been a 2-run single to give the Mets a 7-5 lead, with Edwin Diaz coming on to close things out in the 9th. And then it's left to Brett Baty there, still runners on 2nd and 3rd. And as he typically does, comes up small in the big spots. And that was just a little bit of a taste of what we would get for the rest of this game with Brett Baty, because the Mets go to extra innings. Impressive job by Edwin Diaz to bail out their defense once again, which I don't think we've been talking about enough, but the Mets have been playing very sloppy defense lately. There have been so many times over this last week that we have just watched balls be thrown into the outfield, whether it be on throws down from the catcher, pickoff attempts, throws from the infielders, but Diaz able to side skirt out of trouble there despite there being a runner on 3rd with nobody out. But the Mets can't overcome the poor defense in the 10th inning. And that's without me even saying, actually, excuse me, how could I gloss over the bottom of the 9th, where it looks like the Mets might get a walk-off double from Francisco Lindor. Hits it into the corner in right field, and you can't really blame third base coach for that one. Sarbaugh, I think his name is, because you can't predict that the relay is going to get bobbled. Obviously, in real time, had he not stopped him from running, Tyrone Taylor that is, then yeah, he probably would have scored and the Mets would have walked off the Guardians without having to go to extra innings. But despite that, you still had an opportunity there. They intentionally walked Soto, and Pete Alonso was 4 for 4 to that point in the game, of course, with the 3-run bomb, another RBI hit. So I can't really get on Pete Alonso, but man, you got to shorten up there, dude. All we are looking for is a ball in the outfield, a sac fly to win the game. And Pete's up there taking home run hacks. He's looking to hit a grand slam to walk this thing off. And I'm not going to get on Pete Alonso because the Mets aren't even in this game, if not for Pete Alonso's first 4 plate appearances today. But that was frustrating. And then Jeff McNeil hitting a line drive up the middle that for the first 140 years of baseball would have been a base hit up the middle to walk this game off. But of course, the Indians are perfectly shifted up the middle to catch his line drive. And then, of course, the 9th inning. Bunt after the intentional walk to Jose Ramirez to put runners at 1st and 2nd. Brett Baty is a freaking moron. I cannot stand Brett Baty. I don't get the fascination with this guy. He had been playing better lately, but if there is anything we know about Brett Baty at this point, it is that he is wildly inconsistent in every possible way. In the field, at the plate, Brett Baty is like Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. He makes the poor throw to second base, trying to get he wasn't the lead runner, but the guy going to second. It goes off of Lindor's mitt and into no man's land in right center field. And the Guardians are gifted a run. They get a sac fly, then they put 2 up. And you just knew the Mets didn't have another comeback in them. You just knew it. Brett Baty comes back, gets the RBI hit in the bottom of the 10th with 2 outs to make it 7-6. And then how appropriate was it for this game to end on a near opposite field homer from Luis Torrens that dies about 2 feet in front of the wall? How appropriate, because a perfect metaphor for how this game went for the Mets. They were just this freaking close in so many different innings of tonight's game to going on top, to taking the lead, to having what would have been a great comeback win, one that would have kept them keeping pace with the Phillies, who absolutely destroyed the Orioles tonight. And instead, just like the rest of this evening, where the Mets just couldn't find their way to get over the hump, Torrens' ball dies 5 feet in front of the wall for what could have been a walk-off 2-run homer. Guys, I'm serious when I say this. This is one of the worst losses of the season, if you ask me. I am so frustrated by this one today. They had so many chances to win this game, so many chances to pull ahead, so many chances, even in extras. You're getting a bunt from them that could have, easily produced an out at any of the bases. Brett Baty makes the poor throw. Just a shit freaking game for the Mets. Guys, I'm Tony Metro. What's up? Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every single Mets game. I am so annoyed by this one, but be sure to leave this video a like. Really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe if you are not already for all my daily Mets content. Let me go to the chat. Armand says, just brutal. Nimmo sucked big time. Nimmo with the golden sombrero in this game. Man, he had an opportunity there in the 9th. He goes down swinging for the 4th time. I mean, just brutal night for Nimmo for sure. Jimmy James C, yikes. Yikes is an understatement. That is one of the more painful losses when you consider the circumstances. And I was saying that in the beginning of this stream, and I got a little off topic there for a second, but the Mets coming into this game having lost 5 of 6, having just got bounced out of first place by the Phillies yesterday, and with the Phillies trouncing the Orioles tonight, the Mets are now a game and a half back. So when you put all of those circumstances together, the fact the Mets have not been playing well, they got swept by San Diego. They lose 2 out of 3 to a Giants team that just sold at the deadline. And then to open this series up, and after clawing their way back from down 5-0, to let it slip through their fingertips the way that they did is such an annoying loss. And it's going to go down as one of the worst for me. I don't know. We'll see. The Mets always seem to outdo themselves, though, so wouldn't be surprised if there's one that hurts more than this one moving forward. Pro Wheels, this team is a joke, he says. They're playing like jokes. I'm not laughing, though. Not at all. Absol Baty is horrible. We should have traded him for a good pitcher when we had the chance. I mean, honestly, you got to strike when the iron is hot, and that would have been the time, because Baty had been playing better than we've ever seen him play. Not great, but better than anything we'd ever seen from Brett Baty in his career to this point. And the Mets could have traded him, tried to get a starting pitcher, which, by the way, might have made the Mets' chances of winning on Sunday a little bit better, because we may not have to be watching Frankie Montas take starts for this team. But this is who we got now. This is what we're rolling with. And Brett Baty, I just don't understand. I don't get how the outs above average can be so favorable to Brett Baty, because I have never thought he was a good defender. I am sorry. People tell me he's an elite defender at third base. You're not watching the games. You're going on StatCast. You're going on all those nerdy websites, and you're just looking at the numbers and the pretty colors, because Brett Baty never seems to know where he wants to go with the ball and is always getting himself in trouble. Now, that being said, I will also say this. What the hell is going on with Francisco Lindor? Because you got to get off the bag and make sure that ball does not get away from you. It was not as terrible a throw as we're all making it out to be. It was a bad throw. Don't get me wrong. Lindor probably would have had to get off the bag. He would have lost the out to catch that one and corral it. But it was not a terrible throw. It hit off of Lindor's glove. And it just seems like for the last month, really a good portion of this whole season, the ball is just inches away from Francisco Lindor. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I got to give a little bit of blame to Lindor on that play too. And especially you look back at the throw down from Alvarez in the 9th inning with Edwin Diaz on the mound. And this is like the second or third time in the last week that a ball getting thrown down from the catcher has gotten past Francisco Lindor. So he is not one to to not place any blame on either. He obviously has not looked the same since that broken toe, not only at the plate, but in the field as well. But Guys, I mean, it was just one of those games. Like I said, so many times the Mets just this close, just this freaking close in the 8th inning, in the 9th inning, and then in the 10th even a little bit to a degree to taking this game home. And they just can't find a way to get themselves over the hump. Sound off in the chat, guys. How are you feeling? I am frustrated. That is such an annoying, ugly loss. Again, when you combine all the circumstances with how they've been playing, with Philly winning again tonight, we are now down a game and a half in the National League East standings. This is not looking like a World Series winning team, if you ask me. The way they've been playing right now, they'd be lucky to even make the playoffs, first of all. And then second of all, to even win anything in the playoffs? Not with the way they're playing baseball right now. This has just been a bad stretch of baseball once again for this team. Kirby fan says, Guards ball, you guys will beat our ass the next 2 games. I don't know, man. The Guardians are a good team. The Guardians are a pretty solid team. They have won now, I think it's 18 of their last 24, so they have been playing pretty good. They got a really solid bullpen, although obviously the Mets were able to do a little bit of damage against them here tonight. But, you know, the Mets continue to shoot themselves in the foot. And if they continue to do that, I don't see the Mets beating anybody's ass. Not even the Rockies. Not even the White Sox. Not if you continue to have these self-inflicted wounds that the Mets have. And it even started in the first inning of this game. It doesn't end up hurting them, but Mark Vientos overrunning a foul pop-out along the first base dugout. I mean, they just have not looked sharp at all. And it's the whole team. It's not just one particular individual. Yeah, Beatty had the throwing error, but you had that play from Vientos. I mean, they just haven't looked sharp lately at all. So very, very, very tough loss for the Mets tonight. Jimmy James C says the whole team is inconsistent, to be honest. Yeah, and I mean, look, we were going through this one into the 5th inning with the Mets bats basically being totally lifeless, which is what we've been seeing from them so much lately. I mean, they hadn't really done anything against Slade Ciccone. He was pitching a pretty solid game against them. That was until the 6th. The Mets finally wake up. You know, at that point, obviously Sean Manaea has that blow-up inning there where he gives up the 3-run shot to Arias, which is, you know, the cherry on top for the Guardians in that inning. But I wasn't even mad at Sean Manaea, if I'm being honest with you guys. I was upset at this Mets lineup because how many times here now, 100 and something plus games into the season, have we watched as the Mets lineup just goes down 1, 2, 3, zeros, goose eggs, inning after inning, and this pitching staff has to basically be perfect to keep them in the game. How many times has the lineup let them down, not come through, and then the pitching finally falters? I couldn't blame Sean Manaea. I mean, yeah, he gave up 5 runs. He did. It was annoying. He hit 2 batters in this game. It was rough, 100%. But how many times have we just watched as this lineup is totally lackluster? Just can't get anything going. And so at that moment, I wasn't even mad at Sean Manaea. I wasn't. Obviously, it turns into the worst start so far of him for the year. It's only his 4th, his 5th overall appearance. ERA bumps up pretty high after it was at 2.08 entering this game. It's going to go up after giving up 5 runs in 5 2/3. And it looked like the Mets were going to have a chance to win this game anyway because you get the 3-run homer from Pete Alonso. But hey, guys, let's be honest. Even in that bottom of the 6th inning, the Mets are gifted to both of their first base runners. Francisco Lindor reaches first on a drop 3rd strike. Juan Soto hit the hell out of that ball, but it was an error by Rocchio at 2nd. He would make up for it later, obviously, when he robbed Cedric Mullins. But the first 2 runners aboard to set the table for Pete Alonso really never happened 99% of the time. How often do you get a guy on board from a drop 3rd strike and from an error on back-to-back plays? Not very often. So, yeah, the Mets put up 5 today, or 6, but wasn't exactly the most impressive, especially when you consider the amount of opportunities they left on the table there, specifically in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. Then again there in the 9th with 2nd and 3rd, or whichever. I think it was 2nd and 3rd in the 8th and bases loaded in the 9th. Just, man, I am beside myself on this one, guys. Absol says Taylor should have ran past the 3rd base coach. He would have had him. We would have won the game. Like I said, I mean, there's nothing you could really do. You can't predict that the relay is going to get juggled, that it's going to get bobbled the way that it did. It sucks, but, you know, yeah, hindsight's 20/20. But I can't really get on Sarbaugh for giving him the hold sign with Pete Alonso and Juan Soto coming up to the plate and just 1 out. You can't. Pete's got to be better there. I know Pete had a huge game today, but Pete's got to be better there where he needs to shorten up and find a way to at least put the ball in play. Yeah, double play would suck. It would. But, I mean, a strikeout? Jeez, That's brutal, man. That is just so rough. Sandman Games, hi, Tony and Mookie. Sorry for the pain this team brings. The pain never ends. The pain and suffering never ends for us Ets fans. Mets, Jets, never ends. Sandman says, Lindor will smile, Mendoza will eat his seeds, and all is fine. LOL, this team is a shell, no life inside. I mean, I'll give them this. They showed some life today. Coming back, scoring those 5 runs. You know, I saw a lot of energy from the guys on the field. I was really happy about that. Edwin Diaz manned up and just found a way to tiptoe his way out of that 9th inning, which was really all set up again by poor defense from the Mets. But it's just not enough. It's just not enough. They have got to be better. They have got to be sharper. They have looked bad defensively. They have not come through with clutch hitting, doing the small things. You saw the Guardians. I'm never going to stop calling them that. How many times did they lay down a bunt today? I mean, the Mets got to be starting to think maybe they should be doing some small ball because they're not doing anything right in the big picture. So, just brutal. Absol Lindor should have caught Alvarez's throw to second base too. Exactly. He should have caught that one 100%. And I really do think he should have caught that throw from Beatty. But again, it was Beatty fielding the bunt that was popped up on a big hop, and you could tell that Beatty wasn't sure if he wanted to go to second with it, and then he tried to rush a sidearm throw, and it wasn't a great throw. And Lindor's probably thinking in his head, do I reach and try to keep my foot on the bag, or do I just come off the bag and then we have bases loaded? Well, obviously the better decision would have been to not let it get past him and into center field, scoring a run, putting runners at second and third, setting them up for an even bigger inning. But what are you going to do? How about just getting out? How about just getting out there, Beatty, instead of making a crap freaking throw? Unbelievable. Joe says Lindor has to catch that ball. I agree. He does. Like I said, I'm pissed at Beatty, but Lindor's got to catch that one. Lindor cannot let that ball get past him there. Armand says that the post-game presser, Carlos Mendoza, says it was the right decision by third base coach Mike Sauerbrauer to put the stop sign on with Soto and Pete coming up. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. I don't think it would have been the right call. I think Taylor would have been dead to rights if that's a clean relay. You just can't predict that they're going to bobble the relay. You just can't, unfortunately. And it cost the Mets. They probably walk off and win this game. It's one of the better wins of the season if they come back and win this game tonight. Instead, it's one of the worst losses of the season, in my opinion. It just is what it is. So I'm with Mendy on that. I'm not going to get worked up over putting the stop sign up with 1 out and your 2 best hitters coming up in Pete Alonso and Juan Soto. Mets Talk with Hayden, what's up? You got to wonder how much more a person like Steve Cohen is going to let this slide. I mean, this is Yankees level of ineptitude when it comes to fundamentals lately for this team. I mean, this is insane. The Mets are a better team than this, or at least I believe that. We've seen them play much better than they have been playing for good portions of this year. But we have also seen them play the way they are right now for large chunks of the season as well. So who is this team? They are just so Jekyll and Hyde. You can come out, you can win 7 games in a row like they did 2 weeks ago. Then you followed up getting swept by San Diego and now losing 6 of 7, dropping a game and a half behind the Phillies in the National League East standings. Who is this team? I don't know, but this could have been one of the better wins of the season, and instead it turns into one of the worst losses of 2025. Red Bear Fox, anyone complaining about Taylor at third base really doesn't know baseball. Yeah, I mean, it is the right decision. You don't send him there. First of all, it was a double down the right field line. Taylor's on first, right? And so to score on a double, pretty tough to do from first, even with a guy of Taylor's speed. But when you have only 1 out and you got Juan Soto and Pete Alonso coming up, you don't take that chance. You don't take that chance on the winning run getting thrown out at the plate, taking the bat out of the hands of one of those guys. I had a feeling after they walked Soto that the Mets were not going to win this game. I don't know why. I was hoping that Juan Soto was going to get his first walk-off as a Met. I was really hoping, and I think that would have been so great for him and for this team to cap what would have been an amazing comeback win, and we're robbed of it. And good call by Stephen Vogt, the manager for the Guardians, to walk him because it ends up working out. They get Pete to strike out, and they get McNeil to line out. So it's a good call. It's a great baseball move by Vogt, the manager for the Guardians. And for us, as Mets fans, we're left to pick up the pieces and have our therapy session like we are here right now. Let's go to look at the box score. First, let me finish up here with the chat, though. Christopher T, will they make the postseason? Oh, boy. Not if they continue playing the way they have been now for the last week. Not if they continue to play the way they have beginning with that series against the Padres. You blow that first game after getting the grand slam from Mark Vientos that made it 5-1 at that point. Montas completely blows up. You get another blow-up start yesterday from Montas against San Francisco. You lose 2 out of 3 to them, who just sold at the deadline. I'm watching this Beatty play again, and you just can tell he's just not sure. I mean, what are you doing, dude? Come on. Gotta get it out there. You can't throw the ball into the outfield, dude. God. Anyway, Christopher, if the Mets keep playing the way they are, no, they're not going to make the playoffs. This NL is too talented between the Padres, obviously the race with the Phillies. You got the Brewers and the Cubs. You got the Dodgers. There's easily 2 teams out of each of the divisions that is coming out of the playoff picture that will have a playoff spot. And the only one that is under, I guess, debate is this final spot between the Mets and whoever, the Phillies. And I don't know. Let's see. Red Bear Fox, dude, honestly, Lindor. F. Lindor. Why? Because early in the game, he struck out on a fastball at his eyes. He turned to the catcher, laughed heartily, then patted the catcher on the chest and walked away. I know a lot of people do not like to see Lindor or other players, smile or be happy or anything when we're playing as poorly as we are and losing ball games. And I get it. I do. But Lindor was also very nearly the hero in this game, very nearly getting that walk-off hit. He had a couple base hits in this game. He was a big part of getting that 8th inning going as well. So I get it. It's not the best visual, but I'm going to get much more on a guy like Beatty for making a crappy throw that cost the Mets this game than I am on Lindor for smiling. I mean, I'm not going to get worked up about that. I got way too many other things to get pissed off about from this team tonight. Let's see. Pro Wheels, the team is going to collapse like the 2007 season. Oh my gosh, please don't say that. Please, I can't. I'm just in such a foul mood after this one, guys. Sound off in the chat, guys. How you feeling about this team? Do you think the Mets are going to make the playoffs at this rate? Because like I said, if they don't turn it around and start playing better than how they have been playing for these last 8 games or so, beginning with the series against the Padres, no, they are not going to make the playoffs. And if they do, if they sneak their way back in, they ain't going anywhere. Not with how they have been playing. Pitching, fielding, hitting. There is something that you could pick apart from each of these teams, from each thing of this team. You know what I'm trying to say. All of them have left a lot to be desired. Bullpen, starting pitching, starting lineup, fielding. All of them have had bad days in the last couple of weeks. It's just been brutal, guys. It really has been. Let's go over to the SMY. Let's see if we can find any sound bites to listen to from Mendoza, from Brett Beatty. Let's see what Pete had to say. I know we didn't get a W, but there's a lot of positives. I think it would be more concerning if we just had kind of gotten blown out 5-0. Pete, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling super positive about this game. I'm going to be honest. All right, let's see.
When you guys come back from down 5-0, have the bases loaded in the 9th, how much more frustrating is it to come away without the win?
I think, to be honest, it'd be more frustrating if we didn't do anything, if we just kind of laid down right there, and if it was just they shut us out or we didn't really score that many runs. So I think it'd be more frustrating that way. But again, like, pitchers threw the ball really well today. I mean, offense kept us in it the whole way. It was a good team comeback, but obviously we didn't.
No, it wasn't a comeback win, though. That's the biggest thing, guy. Dude, I can understand that kind of mentality in, March, April, May, but it's August. We just lost another game to the Phillies in the division. There are no more moral victories. It is time to start playing your best baseball. If you don't want to fall out of this race, if you want to win your first National League East title in 10 freaking years, you got to start playing better baseball. And I'm sorry, I don't want to get on Pete because, like I said, they're not even in this game if not for Pete going 4 for his first 4 with a 3-run homer and an RBI single later. But in the 9th inning there, with the bases loaded, man, you got to find a way to put that ball in play. You have got to find a way to get a fly ball into the outfield. And we're talking about a great comeback win, man. Brutal. Let's see. Pro Wheel says, Red Bear Fox on the Beatty throw, absolutely his fault. However, I think Lindor needs to come off the bag to ensure catching the throw. He appeared to try to catch and stay on the bag. That's exactly what it looked like, Red Bear Fox. I agree. And this has happened a couple of times with Francisco Lindor this year. a couple of times where he is not coming off the bag. He is keeping his foot glued to it, trying to get the out instead of making sure that that ball doesn't get away from him and into the outfield. So I agree. It was definitely on Beatty, but it was not as bad of a throw as it probably is getting painted out to be. I think Lindor definitely deserves some of the blame for letting it get past him. Mark, what's up? Pete needs to make contact there. Was all fastballs. And that dude has a nasty fastball. I mean, that guy got Cy Young votes, as Gary was saying in the broadcast there, because he was just nasty. He's got one of the best fastballs in baseball, but you got to find a way. You've got to find a way to put that ball in play. I think I'd be less mad at a double play than striking out there, especially after they had just walked Soto to load the bases. Armand says Mets will make the playoffs because I don't trust the Reds, Giants, Cards, Marlins to make a run for a wild card playoff spot. I mean, man, every time I keep hearing more and more about the Marlins, and I'm getting worried, more and more worried. But honestly, I think the Mets playing at their best and their highest potential are better than any of those teams by leaps and bounds. But we have not seen this team playing at its highest potential really ever throughout this entire year. So maybe this is just who they are, guys. I don't know, but we are 100 and something plus games into the season. And if we haven't seen it yet, then maybe this is just who they are. It's like the old Bill Parcells line. You are what your record says you are. Mets are a 12-game, 13-game over 500 team, and that's really solid. It's not bad. It's one of the better records in baseball, but they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. They continue to be lethargic at the plate for innings on end, and tonight, a perfect example of that as they come up just short of what could have been a really great comeback victory. Absol says, seems like everyone is more concerned about Pete's home run record than winning. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I'll be happy when it happens for Pete, but I don't care. If Pete doesn't hit another home run the rest of the year, but the Mets keep winning, I am fine with that. I don't care about his home run record. That is great. That is fun. But what's more fun? I don't know. Winning? Yeah, that sounds like a plan. You're Shamanai on his night.
Frustrating is that you were so dominant basically for the first 5 innings. Kind of the wheels fell off.
He was dominant those first couple innings.
Very. Yeah, it's no way around it. I mean, that sucks. I mean, not just for me personally, but as a team, I was hoping to limit the damage, but yeah, I mean, the home run was huge. So yeah, it sucks.
Frustrating is that you were so.
Yep, it definitely sucks. I'm with you there, Shawnee boy. That is obviously the worst start that we have seen from Manaea. His ERA goes from 2.08 up to 3.52 after giving up 5 runs in 5 2/3. But again, in the moment of that 6th inning, like I said before, I'm not even mad at Sean Manaea because it has just been so many times this year where the lineup does absolutely nothing and their pitchers basically need to match zeros with the opposition, where they just have to be absolutely perfect. And I can't even get mad at Sean Manaea, who is, making only his 4th start of the season, has been stellar so far, and was looking like a world beater for the first 5 innings of this game. So I was not mad at him at all for his performance there in the 6th inning. I was more upset with the lineup, which finally woke up, but just doesn't do enough to get this win. Let me go to the chat really quick. Sandman Games, you still got the Jets in 5 weeks to look forward to. LOL. Put a bullet in my head. I can't with the Jets. Mark says, I think Vientos would lose a race with Bartolo Colon. Oh my God. I knew when Vientos hit that ball to shortstop or third base in the 10th inning and it was bobbled, I'm like, he's still not going to beat it out, is it? He is still not going to beat it out, right? And he didn't. Nope. Shocker. Yeah, Mark Vientos is a slow man. He's a big boy. You would think the long strides, he'd at least be able to get going a little bit once he gets, it going. But yep, Mark not very fast. Alvin Solano says, leave my bases loaded like the New York Mets. Fife dog of a Tribe Called Quest. I like that comment. Armand says, Pete was trying to be a superhero, not the hero in the at-bat. Small ball sac fly wins the game. 100%, man. 100%. Pete, I'm sorry. Those were some hellacious hacks that he was taking there. And he really only needed to put the ball in play. He needed to try and hit a sac fly, shorten up, and he didn't. And again, hard to get on Pete Alonso after having such a good start to this game for him, but needed it there, man. Really freaking needed it there. I can't believe I'm talking about the Mets might go on a 3-game losing streak tomorrow. They might lose their 3rd consecutive series and will have lost 8 of their last 9 games after that 7-game winning streak that they were just on. What the freaking hell is wrong with this team? Why are they so inconsistent, so bipolar, man? What the hell? I just don't get it, man. Let's hear what Mehdi had to say about the whole holding up Tyrone Taylor there on that Lindor double into right field.
Just curious your perspective on the ball at right field in the ninth inning when Taylor's held at third.
Of course, it's Andy Martino, that little
Yeah, I think it was the
weasel.
right decision there, once because the ball didn't get all the way to the wall, and you get Taylor thrown out of the play right there with Soto and Pete coming up, you're going to be second guessing that decision. But I thought it was 100% the right one, because when he's making the decision, the ball is on the way to the cutoff man. You can't wave whether, Santana bobbles it after the fact.
Exactly, right. Like you can't, predict that he's going to bobble the relay there. Carlos Santana, who's still playing ball, which is insane, but you can't predict that. And with only one out in the inning, you're not going to take the bat out of the hands of either Soto or Alonso there with, just one out and get the potential game-winning run thrown out at the plate. You're just not going to do it. So I don't have any problem with the hold. It's just one of those, again, this close. They are this freaking close to winning this game in so many different ways. If they keep running there with Tyrone Taylor, they win that game. If they could get a sac fly with the bases loaded for Pete Alonso, they win the game. McNeil pisses on that ball. It's a line drive right up the middle, exactly where the Guardians are shifted defensively. You had Cedric Mullins hitting a ball, lacing it, and Rocchio makes a terrific diving play to rob him of a 2-run single that would have given the Mets a 7-5 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. You have Luis Torrens, the final at-bat of this game in the 10th, hitting a ball opposite field 5 feet in front of the wall, and it dies. That was just this entire game for the Mets. They were just this freaking close and couldn't find a way to get over the hump. And that is why I say it, and I am doubling down on it, one of the worst losses of the season. To come that close and be unable to complete the comeback, just awful, man. Awful. I want to see if I can find anything for Brett Beatty. Here's the dummy. All right.
I just got to make a better throw on that
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
The bunt was kind of up in the air, so I knew the runners were going to have a tough read on it, just because it went straight up into the air. And then I got it on one hop, and I got to make a better throw than that. So.
Brett, what did you see on
Brett, you basically got to do everything better because you suck. You're brutal. You're awful. I can't stand watching this guy anymore. I have always not believed in Brett Beatty since 2023. He had so many opportunities to take the role of this starting third baseman for this team. He struggles defensively. He struggles hitting. It's just, it's not working out with Brett Beatty. I hope he is traded in the offseason. Let's see. Does he say anything else? No, this is still about the cutoff man, but guys, sound off in the chat. How are you guys feeling? Let's talk about the box score really quick. Also, guys, be sure to leave this video a like if you have not already. Really appreciate it. Goes a long way toward helping out the channel. Another brutal loss for the Mets. They have now lost, I think it is 7 of 8 now. So, I mean, this is a bad stretch, and they drop another game to the Phillies in the standings. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat, because I am down bad right now on this team. Nimmo with a brutal day. 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts, gets the golden sombrero. He has kind of been flying under the radar lately. He had a nice game on Saturday, but Nimmo's been struggling just as much as the rest of that core group of guys with Pete Alonso, Soto, and Francisco Lindor. Lindor with a pretty decent day. 2 for 5, has the double. He has a hit that sets up that 8th inning where they scored 2 more to tie the game, and then that double that very nearly could have won it for them. Also has 2 strikeouts, but reached the base on that one for the drop third strike. Soto 2 for 4 in this one, and a walk. Pete Alonso with the huge day, as we know, 4 for 5, 4 RBIs. Vientos gets the job done there with 2 strikes and getting the sac fly there in the 8th inning to tie this game up. Jeff McNeil ends up, I think what did he do in that inning? I can't remember. I think McNeil might have flown out. Popped out, I think it was. And then it was Cedric Mullins getting robbed of that 2-run single. Still looking for his first RBI with the Mets, man. It has been tough for Mullins so far. Marte pinch hit from Mauricio. They were both hitless in a combined 3 at-bats. Beatty gets the base hit. And hey, how about Francisco Alvarez there in the 9th inning, kind of getting that whole inning going? We all forget that it was Tyrone Taylor who pinch ran for Francisco Alvarez, but there with 0-2 count, Alvarez just going back up the middle quietly has brought that batting average average up to 252, and that OPS is up to 722. So Francisco Alvarez has looked a lot better since coming back up from AAA. So happy to see that from him for sure. But guys, in the end, it's a really, really bad loss. 2 errors. That's it right there. That's what cost you in this one, guys. Tough. Let's see, Christopher T. I know there isn't a super team out there, but I don't see them beating the Dodgers, Padres, Cubs, or Brewers, or even the Phillies, man. I mean, like, the Phillies are playing better baseball right now. They got contributions immediately from Harrison Bader. He gave them a go-ahead 3-run homer tonight, and they never looked back from there. Kyle Schwarber has 40 home runs again. Bryce Harper is starting to hit the ball out of the park again, and they have some really good starting pitching. That without even mentioning their big acquisition at the deadline, getting Johan Duran to close out games for them. So, I mean, I've never been fearful of the Phillies, but it's starting to look like they might be a better team than the Mets. I gotta be honest, man. They're playing better baseball than the Mets, and they look like a better constructed team than the Mets right now. And that's without even mentioning all those other ones that you just said in this comment here. The Dodgers, obviously, the Padres, who just whooped our ass last week, the Cubs, who we won 2 out of 3 with at home, but I don't know, man. They got one of the best offenses in the league. And then the Brewers, who, you know, beat us up pretty good in the regular season last year. We took care of them in that wild card round, and then we took 2 out of 3 here at Citi Field last month against them, but it wasn't the most convincing 2 out of 3. And we know the Brewers are probably the best team in baseball. I mean, at least record-wise they are. So I don't know, guys. It is not looking great at the moment. Sandman says, I see Mookie, let him chime in. LOL. Yeah, Mookie's chilling right here. He's all tuckered out. He got a good walk tonight. Let's see. Red Bear Fox says the next weekend change may be the death blow to this team's season. Let's take a look at the schedule for the Mets, guys, because it's getting to that point where, you know, it's getting late early, as they like to say, right? I mean, this is a crucial week for the Mets. So we got beat up by the Guardians here tonight to open this series. 2 more with them. I don't know who's doing the schedule making in Major League Baseball anymore, but they have been doing some really dumbass shit lately over the last couple years. The Mets go on the road for 3 games in Milwaukee and then come right back to Citi Field. What made them think that was a good idea to have the Mets go out for a weekend road trip and then come right back? At the very least, we have days off in between on this Thursday and then the following Monday, so that's nice, but I don't get why they did that, and they've done some weird stuff like that over the last couple of years. But then the Mets come home for 3 with the Braves, and we all know how that seems to go. The Braves are our daddies, so yeah, they might be 15, 16 games under 500, down in 4th place in the National League East, but the Braves have the Mets number until proven otherwise, so that's not going to be easy. Then you got the Mariners. They just got Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor to add to their lineup. They are a playoff contending team. Then you got the Nationals, so hopefully that's a soft spot, but you never know. I know they're a last place team, but at this point, I don't even know, man. We took 2 really bad losses down in D.C. earlier this year, and that series is going to be on the road. 3 more with the Braves in Atlanta, the House of Horrors. Then we got the Phillies, and then we got 4 with the Marlins to round out the month of August. Guys, this is a tough month. This is a really tough month, and it's 100% true, man. This is going to dictate how the Mets season goes. If the Mets are going to make the playoffs, if the Mets are going to be winners of the National League East for the first time in a decade, it's got to start now. It needed to start yesterday. It needed to start with the series against the Padres, and so far the Mets have totally spit the bit, but they got an opportunity. They got 3 with the Phillies. You got 4 with the Marlins, which, my goodness, that could be totally changing the way the standings are in the NL East if things don't go right for the Mets in that 4-game set. But guys, sound off in the chat. How y'all feeling? You think the Mets are making the playoffs? I still do believe it. I do. But not if they continue to play the way that they have been lately. It's just not good enough, guys. It's not good enough for a team with a $350 million freaking payroll. It's just not good enough. It's unacceptable. Absol says, wow, we only got Milwaukee and Seattle next week. No big deal, right? I know, right? Should be easy. Only Milwaukee and Seattle, plus 6 with the Braves this month, who we know own us, 3 with the Phillies, and then 4 with the red hot Marlins, who actually lost today. And then real quick, let me go to the September schedule, even though I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but 3 with Detroit, 3 with Cincinnati on the road, who are going to maybe still be in the playoff hunt, 4 at Citizens Bank Park against the Phillies. Oh my God, I'm going to need Valium for that week. I don't know if I can handle that week without drugs. That is going to be awful if the Mets are as close in the race as they probably will be with the Phillies, unless the Mets don't start playing better ball. They might be a handful of games behind the Phillies in the East by that point. Then you got 3 with the Rangers, who are a playoff team, it looks like. 3 more with San Diego. And then 3 with Washington. That's like the only easy team the Mets have in September. We know the Mets have the 6th strongest strength of schedule remaining for this year, and it shows. 3 more with San Diego, that time at our yard. And then you got 3 with the Cubs and 3 more to round out the season against the Marlins down in Miami. Oh my God. Oh, this is gonna be 2007, 2008 vibes, guys. This is not looking like it's gonna turn out pretty for the Mets, if I'm just being honest, man. This is a scary sight to see. This is a tough schedule to finish out the year for sure. You got to take care of business against Atlanta, guys. 6 with Atlanta. Find a way to win. Everyone else seems to be able to beat the Braves no problem. They're 16 freaking games under 500. Can the Mets find a way to finally get over the hump and beat the damn Braves? Come on, dude. Oh, God, it's just so annoying. All right, let's go back to the chat. Let's see. Red Bear Fox next week and change maybe the death blow to this team's season. And Christopher says Cal Raleigh from Seattle might enjoy this pitching. Oh, I bet he's going to be feasting on it, right? Christopher, no, I'm sorry. Absol Mullins, 1 for 11 since becoming a Met. Good pickup. Dude, this is always how it goes. Come on. Don't you know that, man? You pick up a Met, or you trade for a guy, he becomes a Met, he forgets how to play baseball, or he gets hurt. That is always how it goes. Mark says, when will they finally stop giving Beatty chances? It's been too long. Well, you thought that Brett Beatty was the most sure-handed defensive third baseman of this group of misfit toys, the baby Mets, but clearly not. And again, I go back to it. People are telling me, oh, he's got one of the best outs above average of all qualified third basemen in baseball. Okay, stop looking at the stupid, nerdy stats and watch the game, because Brett Beatty is not a good fielding third baseman. It should have been Ronnie Mauricio in there. He got pinch hit for because he can't hit left-handers. He's not a good right-handed hitter. So they had to put Beatty in for defense, and that's how this all blows up in their face. I mean, what the freaking hell? Red Bear Fox, I've been a supporter of giving Beatty a chance, but this dude has shown he's not big league material. Yeah, he's not. He's not. I mean, when do we finally call a spade a spade? He is not big league material. He is most certainly not New York material. He can't hack it here. Kids from Texas, came out of high school, first round pick, all the pedigree in the world, and he's been nothing short of a disappointment for this team. It is just, man, this is a tough one for me tonight, guys. I am so annoyed by this. Let's take a look at tomorrow's game, and hopefully the Mets will be able to get back on the horse, but not counting on it. Not based on what I've been seeing from them over the last couple days. But it'll be Clay Holmes on the mound. Oh, boy, I don't want to watch Clay Holmes pitch tomorrow. It has been like pulling teeth lately for him, but let's see. 3.45 ERA now, over 22 starts and 117 innings, has blown past his single season high in innings pitched, and we have definitely seen some of the repercussions of that. Last time out versus San Diego, got charged with 2 earned runs, lasted just 3 2/3 innings. That was in the finale of that series. Before that, went 5 innings, just 1 run against the Giants, but not exactly. It was kind of a weird start. That was the one opener against San Francisco out by the Bay, and was able to wiggle his way out of some trouble. But again, look at it, like 6 hits, 8 hits, 6 hits, 5 hits, 7 hits. Let's see, 1 walk, 2, 1. All right, so the walks haven't really been an issue for Holmes like they were for a little while there in the middle of his season, where he was giving up 6 to Atlanta, 4 more to them the next time, 4 more against Milwaukee. So the walks haven't really been as much of an issue, but now because he is in the zone, he's been much more hittable, and you can see here he's been giving up a lot of hits lately. 8 hits in 3 2/3 last time out versus San Diego, 6 hits in 5 innings versus San Fran, 6 hits in 5 1/3 versus Cincinnati, 5 hits in 5 innings against the Royals before that. So, I mean, he's been getting hit. He's been in the zone more. The command's been a little bit better, but he has been getting hit. So, I gotta be honest, man. Holmes, not the guy I want to see on the mound tomorrow when we need a stopper, when we really need a win tomorrow. Can't take another loss tomorrow, that is for sure. I want to get back over here. There we go. So it is LT Allen pitching for the Guardians. Never heard of him, but he is a left-hander, and we know the Mets are one of the most piss poor hitting teams against lefties. So wow, this is not chalking up to a W if you ask me, as I'm looking at it all right now. But 4.06 ERA in 21 starts so far this year. He has been in the league since 2023. I have never heard of this guy, but having a pretty solid season for the Guardians here. So again, it's going to be, hey, can the Mets finally come through against lefties? I doubt it, because they haven't done it to this point in the season, but man, they desperately need a win tomorrow. Let me go back over to the chat here. Let's see. Red Bear Fox says, I have zero faith in this team. I'm a very realistic Mets fan. I look at them as a baseball team and not the team I root for. I truly don't think they have the ability to hold on to a playoff spot. I'm starting to feel that way, man. I am starting to feel that way with how they got just whacked by the Giants this past weekend, a team that just gave up on their season at home. I mean, that was concerning. It was more concerning to get swept by San Diego, to see the amount of games that they have blown, like the one against the Padres with a 5-1 lead. They couldn't hold on for the final 4 or 5 innings of that one. Tonight, the amount of opportunities that they had against Guardians, Cleveland, to win this game and just can't find a way to come through. I am starting to feel that same way as you are, Red Bear Fox, that I don't know if this team is playoff material. I really don't at this point. Christopher T says they want to be the Dodgers of the East, but you have to build a winning culture first. You have to overspend sometimes, but not foolishly, and you can't hug prospects. Yeah, and look, guys, we are still in the infancy stage of, David Stearns being the president of baseball operations, and I would even still say of Steve Cohen being the owner of this team. This is now the 5th season with Steve Cohen, I believe. They've made the playoffs 2 of the first 4 years. 2022, obviously, it was, hey, let's spend a ton of money on some big name pitching and see what we can do. They obviously win 101 games, but they fizzle out. Then last year was kind of a magical kind of carpet ride run that ends short, obviously, of the World Series. So that was really great. But we're still in the early phase of the Steve Cohen era, and they are trying to build something, and we are seeing this farm system starting to become very respected around the league. That is why the Mets were able to acquire the relievers that they did at this year's deadline, and they got some rave reviews from opposing scouts on the guys that they sent away, but noted that there's also still a lot of under the radar guys in this farm system that continue to develop, that will either continue to support the Mets' own roster or support them in trades to acquire other players from different teams. So it's coming together. It's not going to happen in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, as I always like to say on this show. But even the Dodgers, when they were taken over by the Guggenheims and the whole thing with Magic Johnson being involved, they were spending like drunken sailors. They were making huge trades. Remember those Hanley Ramirez years with the Dodgers? They never won jack with all of those big moves that they made. It took them almost 8-9 years before they finally went to the World Series in 2020, if you want to call it that. It's not a real World Series, but it took them that long. And it could take a similar type of path for the Mets too, but now look at where the Dodgers are. So they're going to, I think, be on pace to be a team, an organization like the Dodgers are, but we also have to put it into respect that this is still only the 5th year with Cohen as the owner, and now only the 2nd year with David Stearns as the president of baseball operations. I think it's going to come around. Red Bear Fox, Tony, when you sit down and watch the games, do you expect them to win? I genuinely don't expect them to win games. I'm more surprised when they win. Them winning is a blind squirrel finding a nut. Okay, I like the way you put it there, Red Bear Fox. I would say it's ebbs and flows with this team. There are days I sit down and I'm like, uber confident that the Mets are going to win, that I feel really good about it. But then there are days where I sit down and I'm like, they have no chance of winning this game. And before they scored 5 runs against the Mets off of Sean Manaea, I was thinking the Mets are going to lose this game when it was 0-0, because the Mets were doing what they've been doing so often lately in terms of the lineup, just being totally lethargic, unable to get anybody aboard and start a rally. I mean, it just had that kind of game feeling. And then it ends up being 5-0. Well, they come all the way back to tie this game. But you knew when they couldn't pull through there in the 8th inning with Mullins getting robbed that they weren't going to win this game. And in the end, it was the Guardians that outlast the Mets, and the Mets showed some of their warts. Defensively, their inability to hit with runners in scoring position, two things that have been plaguing them for too long here in 2025. Armand says Dodgers also traded with the Red Sox, took on Adrian Gonzalez and Crawford's contract. Yes, exactly. And David Price, I believe. Well, that would actually have been in 2018, maybe, was it? I don't remember. I think that might have been a separate trade when they took on David Price's contract. But yes, you are correct, Armand. They took on that trade with Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford. And, the Gonzalez trade worked out really well for them. The Crawford side of it obviously did not very much. But those are the things that the Dodgers were doing in those first couple years when the Guggenheims took over ownership of the team from Ned Colletti. So, look, they had their missteps too. They made some mistakes as well, and it took them 8 years to finally reach a World Series or something around that line. 8-9 years. So let's just put it all into perspective here. Mets still probably in a very healthy place, a very good place. And I do believe the organization is on the best path that it has ever been on in its 70 years of existence. But we'd like to see some more of the fruits of the labor than what we've been seeing here from them recently. This has not been a good week of baseball for the Mets. Christopher T, thank you for taking the time to read comments I like from me. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. Guys, if you have not left this video a like already, please go ahead and do so. I really appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Armand says the Price contract was a part of the Mookie Betts trade. Exactly right. I always mix them up because it seems like the Red Sox just love to send their stars to the Dodgers. Mookie going over there for Alex Verdugo. Oh my God. And Jeter Downs and Connor Wong, two dudes that never worked out into MLB players. And then Verdugo's basically out of baseball at this point. Sandman Games, Tony's a legend, and Mookie LONO. Sandman is a legend. Guys, if you want to see some good MLB The Show content, go check out Sandman Games channel. He does a really good job on his Road to the Show player. I think that's actually how I'm going to round out my night here, is play some of The Show. I'm still on 24 though, because I'm too cheap to cough up the $70 every year for the new one. So maybe MLB The Show 26 I will get, but I'm still on 24. Joe says, do you think this Mets team is better than last year's squad? I think that no. How's that? No, I don't. And it's kind of like unfair because let's be honest, the Mets from the first half of last year to the second half of 2024 were totally different teams, right? They go on this huge run in the second half, pretty much beginning in June. But for the first 2 months of the season, they were horrific. They were terrible. They were the laughing stock of baseball once again, with Jose Lopez throwing his glove into the stands, right? So it was looking like they were on a terrible path. But when they put it all together, they seemed like a more well-rounded team than this one. And I'm not saying that if they had kept Jose Iglesias that they would be good in 2025 again and that he would be doing what he did last year. But what I am saying is that you were expecting Brett Baty, Mauricio, Vientos, and Alvarez to all take steps forward. You thought you had third base locked down. You have not gotten the production from Mark Vientos like you did last year. So automatically they're worse at third base. At second base, yeah, Jeff McNeil is having a much better season, but you've had to have Brett Baty do a lot of playing time over there, as well as Jeff was on the injured list for the first month and a half of the year. So I don't think they're a better team at second base, either defensively or in the lineup. And then in center field, it has just been a horrible season for Tyrone Taylor at the plate. Harrison Bader, him and doing that little platoon that they had last year was really solid. They have not gotten production in center field. So lineup-wise, I think they're a much worse lineup than they were last year, even though you got Juan Soto and even though you're getting a much better season from Pete Alonso in 2025 than you did in 2024. Francisco Lindor has not been as good as he was last year. And then you look at the starting rotation, and although it was great for the first 2 months of this season, it is not as good as what it was last year at this point. In total summation of this season, no, it's not as good as it was in 2024 when you could rely on a guy to pitch every fifth day. Severino, Quintana, Manaya. You had a pretty solid 1 through 5 there. David Peterson rounding into form toward the end of the season last year as well. So, yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I don't think this team is as good as they were in 2024. On paper, they should be better, but they just have not lived up to it yet this year. Connor Wong is still on the Red Sox. Oh, he is. My bad. I don't know. There's too much to keep track of. Caden says, I think this game was a good game because everyone contributed to it. What do you think? I can't say that, man, only because of how they lost it, because they were so close to winning and they had so many opportunities in the late innings, the 8th, the 9th, to win this game, to either take the lead into the 9th or to walk it off in the bottom half of that inning. It's nice to see that they were able to come back and very nearly win it. But at the end of the day, there are no more moral victories in August. It is too late for that. There is no more, well, we feel good about this one. No, we are now a game and a half back of the Phillies in the NL East standings. There are no more pat yourself on the back, we almost got this one today kind of games. You've got to win as many games as you can now moving forward. So, Caden, I appreciate your positivity, but for me, man, after losing 6 of their last 7, this is one that they had to have with all of those chances there toward the end of this game. Let's see. Yeah, Red Bear Fox says there were good things about the game, but the reason they lost is the same stuff they've been continually failing at all season, so I don't think it was a good game overall. Totally agree with you there, Red Bear Fox. Let's see. Red Bear also says a friend of mine is one of the main game designers of MLB The Show. It's pretty awesome. That's cool, man. MLB The Show was such an amazing game when I was growing up. I gotta be honest, kind of feels like they got a little cartoonish now over the last couple years. I used to love it on the PS3 and on the PS4, but it's got a little wacky now. We're seeing some pretty crazy team player designs and stadium designs, stuff like that, but it is a fun game for sure. Christopher T says IDKY, maybe because it's Monday, an interleague game, and after the Montas performance, just feeling the blues. I'm with you, bro. I'm totally with you. Monday, right? Never a fun day, but equally only magnified even more when the Mets lose a tough one like they did tonight. Guys, that is going to do it for this one. Painful loss, guys. No other way to say it. The Mets can't complete the comeback. They lose by a final of 7-6 in extras to the Guardians. They're in danger of losing their 3rd consecutive series. They have now lost 7 of 8, and they need to flip the switch fast because the Phillies are playing a depleted Baltimore Orioles team, although you wouldn't have guessed it with how the Mets played them a couple of weeks ago. And the Mets really need to start winning some games. They can't just be scoreboard watching and just hope that the Phillies are going to trip over themselves, because that's not what a real good playoff team would do, right? So hopefully the Mets do turn this around, but that is going to do it for right now, guys. I appreciate all tuning in. Let me say my thank yous real quick. Thank you to Armand. Thank you to Absol. Thank you to Jimmy James C. Thank you to Pro Wheels. Thank you to Kirby Fan. Thank you to Sandman Games. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Mets Talk with Hayden, to Red Bear Fox, to Ben Early. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I missed you on that one. He said if Vientos ran out that ground ball in the 10th, who knows what could have happened. He ran it out. Mark Vientos is just slow as shit. He couldn't beat it out. Christopher T, thank you, my man. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to, who else we got in here? These are repeats. Thank you to Tackle Baseball. I didn't see that. Thank you to Christopher T. I already got you. And to, I think that's everybody in here, right? Yeah, Christopher T, Red Bear Fox, Caden. Thank you to Caden as well, coming in at the last second, guys. I appreciate it so much. We'll be back with another post-game recap immediately after Mets and Guardians Game 2 on Tuesday night. Hopefully the Mets get a W and can end this nasty little snide that they are on. But that is going to do it for right now, guys. Until next time, though, I am Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.